So what did you miss at Jubilee today? Well, you missed the first Sunday of Lent. And we began when Anne put a purple cloth, a strip of purple cloth over the communion table. And we talked a little bit about fear of the unknown. As we go through Lent, we will be confronting fears. And so fear of the unknown was shared today, and we confessed to our fear from the unknown, and we looked for guidance and strength as we overcome that fear. And that theme carried us through much of the service as we heard about Jesus being baptized and then the Spirit driving him into the wilderness where he was tempted. We also heard about the end of the Noah story as the ark is on dry land and God makes a covenant in a rainbow to never destroy the world in water. So we wondered about why Jesus had to go into the wilderness, what the temptation was about, and we realized that very often we need ourselves to go into the wilderness so that we can claim our own ministry, our own identity. That things given to us, things granted, don't usually stay with us. But in fact, we need to engage to earn for ourselves our ministry, our mission, our identity. That we need to claim them as our own. It's all well and good in the story to have the voice of God say, "You are my son, with you I am pleased." But Jesus needs to go and to claim that identity for himself. In the same way that we as individuals or as a church or as a nation, as a community, there are many things that we need to go and claim for ourselves by doing the work. We can't sit back and wait for indigenous people to reconcile for us. We actually have to do some of the reconciliation too. We have to go into the wilderness. We have to ask ourselves the hard questions. We have to engage. Whether we're talking about truth and reconciliation as people or as our nation, whether we're talking about the Me Too movement or Black History Month, racism, climate change, the divide between the rich and the poor. So many things go on that we sit back and we're happy to support the people who are doing the work, and we're glad when they bring the solutions to our feet. We somehow imagine that people can do our work for us. That governments can do it, or well-meaning people can do it, or that the oppressed themselves can come and bring to us a package in which they are no longer oppressed, and we can go, "Oh, good." But the reality is we have to go into the wilderness. We have to go to the wilderness ourselves. We have to struggle. We have to be vulnerable. We have to do the work. We need to go to a place where our structures and systems are not there to give us privilege or to guide us. We have to go and be open to the Spirit. Be open to God's love. Be open to the other, and together build something new. Jesus went into the desert because it wasn't enough that God said, "This is my son." Jesus needed to go and claim it for himself. In the same way, it's not enough for us to sit back and say, "Well, we're the church community." We need to actually claim our ministry and our identity for ourselves. And the neat thing about that Noah story that we played with a little bit today is, if we imagine for a moment that God doesn't do everything for us or to us, then in fact things happen. Just things happen. Things like hurricanes and earthquakes and floods, that those things happen. What if the Noah story is a story about when all the systems in place became so corrupt they could not hold. The center could no longer hold. Everything was falling apart. Upon the horizon was such a great wilderness, it was overwhelming, as if a flood was going to wipe it all away. And in the midst of that, a message comes. This is a way through. And Noah listens. Even though the majority wouldn't listen, even though he'd be ridiculed, Noah listens and finds that way through. And at the end of that wilderness, Noah reminds all of us that God is with us. God doesn't leave us even when we're in the midst of wilderness. And so knowing that, we need not be afraid of our wilderness. We need not be afraid of Lent. That's what you missed at Jubilee today. That and some great music and some wonderful people. But the great thing is, as you go into Lent, you can be assured that you're not alone, and know that Lent is an invitation for you to step into a wilderness. Maybe it's Me Too. Maybe it's truth and reconciliation. Maybe it's in the environment. Maybe it's justice. Maybe it's poverty. Whatever it is, where you've been sitting back and saying, well, I'll let them do it. Lent is an invitation for you to do it too. Because we're not alone. None of us. We live in God's world. Anyway, hopefully we'll get to see you here in our space sooner than later, because it would be great to see you. But until we do, God bless you. And know that we miss you. And look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.